Hi there, VC. It's Steve Whitty here. It's Sunday morning. Sun is shining, but I suspect from looking at the weather forecast, it ain't going to shine anymore. Well, much longer. A little Walker Brothers slip there. Hope everyone's well. Everyone's enjoying the weekend as best they can. I have to admit, I'm sort of like getting used to this lockdown malarkey. I did take a couple of days off work, so no working from home, but put it to good use, sorting out my 45s and my CDs. So I think the key is to actually have a structure to the day. Today I'll do the video. I've got a few things to do, and I'll spend the afternoon. I might as well show you the latest book I'm reading. Got a copy of A New Day Yesterday by Mike Barnes. It is sort of like a overview of UK progressive rock in the 1970s, which is something I'm a bit of a fan of. So yes, that's how I'm going to spend my afternoon. Probably is going to be reading that while listening to some music. So this video, I've been prattling on without saying what the video is about, and it's in all this lockdown and doing these response videos, I realised I hadn't actually shown what I'd listened to, what I got pre-lockout, during lockout, some eBay purchases, and I got some VCLT came on Friday, which was well, I knew one was coming, but I didn't realise what I was going to get. So let's bang on. First record to show you. This is Congus by John Congus. It was released, I think, 71. It's probably his best known album. It contains his two big hit singles, Telekoshi Man and He's Gonna Step on You Again, which the Happy Mondays sort of sampled. The album itself is very much 70s singer-songwriter. Those two tracks don't actually represent the whole album. But it's not a bad album, and I love Telekoshi Man anyhow. John Congus, say this was probably a big album. Sort of drifted off, but he went into sort of like production side, built his own studio. Probably his best known thing he did was he programmed the Fairlight for Def Leppard's Pyromania album. Before the lockout in the shop, I've got it's a week before the lockout, I managed to pick up a copy of Soft Machine's third. As it says, it's the third album, double LP, one track per side. Sort of jazz fusion. This sort of thing I've been listening to a lot last year, and it's probably that sort of thing I want to get into more. I suppose probably eventually go into more jazz and blues. Good album. I had the CD which I donated to Oxfam. Hope I've got enough tea to last me through this. Gong You. This is a reissue. Really pleased to find myself a copy of this. Reasonably cheap. Saw it, picked it up. I've got quite a few Gong LPs. Yeah, really good album, enjoyable. On the day we were told at work that we had to start working from home, I was feeling a bit fed up about the thought of it, and wasn't. So I work in Solihull, which is the other side of city of Birmingham, south of Birmingham, city centre. So caught the train. I thought I'd go into the Bullring and I'd stop off at the HMV. They were advertising that they were having a sale on, so I thought I'll have a mooch round. I picked up three three normal albums, but because they were cheap. So REM's Out of Time, which I think was just about £11. The Let It Bleed, Rolling Stones Let It Bleed, the 50th anniversary edition. This again was about £11 or £12. Thought, well, I'm not going to say no to that. And this only cost me £8. This was the Who's My Generation. So that filled some holes up in my in collection there. Then on the day of the Saturday afterwards, which was pretty much the last day of the shop, I went in and I thought I'd get a few things as well, just to get some listening. Picked up a copy of Love Supreme, John Coltrane. I don't think I need to say much about this album. It's a sort of classic jazz album, one of those go-to albums. I'd got a CD, but I saw the vinyl. I thought I might as well take that home. That'll keep me going. In the cheap bins, I found a copy of this. This is Captain Beefheart's 2 originals of Captain Beefheart, and it's basically Spotlight Kid and Lick My Decals Off Baby. And the one side of Lick My Decals, it looked like it got a little bit of wax on it. I've cleaned it as best I can. It don't affect the play. You can hear it on the record, but for a couple of quid, I wasn't going to walk away with that. I know he does, how can I say, divide opinion. Captain Beefheart, some of it's listenable. When I find Trap Rap Mask at Replica, I've got a CD of that, and I find that to be quite a difficult listen. Found a copy of this, The Members, at the Chelsea nightclub, which was their debut album, released in '79, I think. This is just a wonderful record. It took me back to when I was 14. I brought the first 2 members, a couple of member singles, not the first 2. Sound of the Suburbs, so it sort of sung to a lot of people at '79. And then Solitary Confinement, which was the B-side to Offshore Banking Business, which isn't on the album. That was the follow-up single to Sound of the Suburbs. Absolute wonderful track, and which sort of describes about living on your own in a bedsit. In a sense, it's sort of like it's a bit sort of like the soundtrack to quite a few people's lives, at the moment. It has been difficult, but good music always sees you through. Next couple of albums I found in the £2 bin. Which, funny enough, it said you can have for £1. So it's the Meteors live. I could describe the Meteors. This was sort of like a radio recording. It was put out as an album, live album. Just rock and roll. Really high intensity rock and roll. There's 17 tracks on this album. Really fast in your face, and more lovable just the same for it. And then Pauline Murray and the Invisible Girls debut album. Pauline Murray this was her first post-penetration project, and some really nice stuff on this. This is recorded, produced by Martin Hannett. It was sort of like post Joy Division. And it features Vinnie Riley on guitars and Dorothy Collum. This is really good. I actually was quite surprised by this. I'd only known Pauline Murray from Penetration, but for £1, I thought I was not going to say no to that. Album that I always saw in the shop. I found a copy because the cover was a bit beat. I thought I'm going to take advantage of this, and that's Medusa by Trapeze, which I believe is their second album, on the Threshold label, Moody Boo's label, and the connection stays because it was produced by John Lodge. There's the band. By this point, I'd been a 5-piece, but they'd come back, stripped down to a trio. Obviously, the best known member is Glenn Hughes. He went on to bigger and better things with Deep Purple. I am going to try to see if I can try, once we go back to some sort of normality, see if I can find some more Trapeze. Because it really does rock, this record. Good 70s hard rocking record. I think I do enjoy that period for when it comes to rock music, and it made me realise there's so much stuff out there I've never really listened to. Sort of guilty of the fact that you stick to the your Zeppelins, your Purples of this world, and realise there's tons of good stuff out there. Probably the last record I got from the shop, and this sort of precurses something else. I've always looked at this and I thought, you know what, I'm going to take it. This is Lynyrd Skynyrd's One More From the Road, double live album. Probably just highlights Skynyrd at their best, to be honest. Hard rocking band. Obviously, it recorded in Atlanta, so very much playing to their home crowd down the south. Particularly when they play Sweet Home Alabama. Obviously, couldn't resist a dig at Neil Young. But you know, obviously the live version of Freebird is just wonderful. Just a wonderful live album. It's really up there with one of the good live albums. Now I'm showing this because now I'm moving on to what it's sort of a couple of things I brought on eBay, and I have been hitting a bit of a Lynyrd Skynyrd phase when it comes to buying and listening for some reason. I'd got the debut album. I think I've got a copy of Give Me Back My Bullets, the reissued version CD, which has the DVD of the Old Grey Whistle Test performance. But on eBay I managed to get myself a copy of second LP. This is a Fame reissue, and it was sealed when it came, so whether, you know, never got. It cost me more than 99 pence, mind. Oh, those were the days when I suppose they were giving away records, vinyl records, towards the end of the 80s, early 90s. You've got here, best known track is Sweet Home Alabama, obviously. And it's got, I didn't realise, Mary Clayton's on the backing vocals on this. Working for the MCA's on here as well, Needle and Spoon. Just sort of like classic tracks there. Then copy of the third album. Nothing fancy. This is I believe an original. I think it's yes, it is. It's the black. And on here, Saturday Night Special. Railroad Song, I'm a Country Boy, Cheating Woman, Made in the Shade, Whiskey Rock and Roller. Sort of sums them up a little bit. They were obviously known for their drinking and their fight brawling. I do remember seeing a photo of Ronnie Van Sant looking the worse for wear. I think for the phrase "punch drunk" sprung to mind. I mean, obviously, finally, I got a copy of Street Survivors, and obviously this is the cover, Surrounded by Flames. It was released just before the plane crash that obviously took the life of Ronnie Van Sant, Steve Gaines and Cassie Gaines. I don't suppose they reissued the album afterwards, changed it, got rid of the flames and just had the photo. I think the thing I find more poignant, is not so much the cover when I look at the album. Obviously, the album in the inner came with the tour dates, and obviously, you know, the North American tour, and this was going up right until February. Yet, I think it was the Greensville, South Carolina gig, about the third or fourth date in when the plane came down. That's probably the saddest part when you look at that. Again, just a great album. And Steve Gaines was his only album he recorded on. You've got a track like That Smell is on there. It's very hard to sort of like decide how they would have gone. Because I think would they have been, if Ronnie Van Zant's still been alive and they're still touring, would they have turned out the way Skinner turned out now? I know a lot of people like them, they're very popular, yeah. Or you stick with the mystique of this early stuff, the pre-plane crash. I don't know. Another band that I found a couple of albums for was REO Speedwagon. And again, got these on eBay. These are pretty common. This is You Get What You Play For, the double live album of '77. So you're talking really the first few albums. You got the original bassist. What's his name? Greg Philbin. He's on here. And it's a good live album. It's actually quite a hard rocking record. I think people forget that that they were a bit of a hard rocking typical 70s hard rocking band before the ballads came, radio friendly ballads came through. And then I picked up then 9 Lives, which came out in '79. Got this eBay, it's a promotional copy. A big track on here. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, it's not a bad album. It's not. I don't think it's as good as the Tuna Piano, but you can't tune a fish. Some say this might be their last great album before, because this is the album before High Infidelity. And I think it changed. You can sort of see by the image. Got a new bass player at this point as well. There's a big difference there. Is he got hair? There's 9 cats, 9 lives, 9 songs. Sometimes what I do is I go on with Amazon sometimes, and you have your want list, and sometimes it's worth just clicking the sort on Amazon and sort them into prices, because sometimes you might get the price at half decent. I think I've heard a lot of people talk about this. So, for example, got this for $12.99. It's rated R. The second album from Queens of the Stone Age, sort of like the breakthrough album, particularly in the UK. Feel good songs, feel good hit of the summer. Rob Halford's on backing vocals apparently. The Lost Art of Keeping a Secret, which is my favourite Queens of the Stone Age song. It's absolutely lovely, brilliant. Leg of Lamb on there as well. It's just a really good rock album. So it got me back to loving rock again, I think. So I picked that up. Then this is the album I picked up for $11.99. This is The Who, and their latest album, Who. I've listened to it, and it's not a bad album. Obviously you can't compare it to Who's Next and all those great Tommy's great albums. It's not in that vein. It's an album, for the start, Pete Townshend's 50 years older, and he's got 50 years worth more knowledge in there. But there are some good tracks on there. I like Ball and Chain. I like Hero, Ground Zero. Some really nice and really good songs on here. It's a good album. It's for what it is, it's a very good album. It's and if this is the last Who album, it's a good way to go out. Went on my Discogs wish list and was looking for a couple. There's one album I was looking for particularly. I was waiting for it to see if I could get it at a half decent price, and I seen Chris Van Orchard show it, for his favourite guitarist, and I thought, I've always been looking for this album for some time. This is Journey's self-titled debut album from 1975. It's the only album that features them as a 5-piece. George Tickner as a rhythm guitarist on there and backing vocals. And it's very highlighted on sort of like jazz rock fusion album. They all left. Neil Schon and Greg Rowley had left Santana at that point, and were looking just set their own band. I think the big cue is they got Ainsley Dunbar to come in on drums, and it's a good album. That's what I was after this for some time. I'm really pleased I got that. It came last week. But while I was looking at that album, there was a Journey album was sort of missing. This was their Departure album from 1980. It's got Any Way You Want It. It's the last album to feature Greg Roll, and to be quite honest, it's a good enough album. It's not a patch and say Infinity and Evolution, and maybe having Jonathan Cain in was give that bit of impetus, because this is obviously the album before Escape, which the mega album. And I think maybe Jonathan Cain coming in, maybe just giving that extra bit of inspiration, creative spark, so to speak, that makes Escape such a great album, where this, I don't think, is as good an album. I think it's sort of lacking. And that's maybe because I've come to this album late in the day. So towards the end of last week, I had an IM message from John Bellamy. And he had mentioned to me, do you like Steve Gibbons? And I go, yeah. And he goes, okay. Then last week, he said, can I have your address? And I think, okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, okay. Thinking, I'll get that Steve Gibbons album then. And package came Friday. And it wasn't just one album. It had 4 albums in there. And also, actually, there was also a £5 note. When we had our VC meet up in Bristol, we were doing the shops, and we couldn't. John wanted to get an album. He was a couple of quid short, and he couldn't find a cash point anywhere. So he said, "It's a £5." And I didn't think more of it, to be quite honest, because I think there was some records being given out anyhow, VCLT, and so I just thought, no, it's not. I didn't think about it, and then this letter comes with the VCLT with £5 note. So, well, thank you for that, John. Yeah. So the 4 albums that I got from John. Elton John's Eric Clapton's Backless, from 78 issued. I think it's pretty much the last album to feature this lineup of his band. I think after that he started using Albert Lee and Gary Booker. Promises is probably the best known track on here. You've got a picture of Eric playing his guitar, and he's got his scarf out there, because there's on the back. For those that don't know, Eric Clapton is a Baggies fan. He's a West Bromwich Albion fan, and it stems from the 50s. In the 1950s, when he was growing up, West Bromwich Albion were one of the big teams in England at that time. He won an FA Cup. I'm not sure if they won the league. His favourite player was a guy called Ronnie Allen. Next album, and this is by an artist I have never heard of before. This is Elliot Murphy, and this is Night Nights. I think this is his 2nd album. And I was sort of curious with this. It's a little bit marked, but he played okay. It wasn't. So I went and did me research. This album was never released in the UK, but it does feature on here Billy Joel on piano on the track Deco Dance. Jerry Harrison's all over this, the Talking Heads and guitarist and keyboard. He plays a lot of keyboards on this. In fact, Jerry Harrison, I think, is good mates. He did produce a later album. And I could best describe it. John said about maybe a bit of Springsteen in there. I think it's quite a lot. There's a lot of Billy Joel in there. This is very much. I can see a hint of Springsteen, but I think it's more Billy Joel than anything. Elliot Murphy actually went off. He's living in France now. He moved to France, and he's very popular in France because he's been awarded medals over there. He's done about 30 albums, but they're obviously very difficult to track down. As I said, this is was never released in the UK. So I was really pleased to have this. It actually really was a good, really pleasant surprise. Sometimes you get something and you think, oh, I don't know. And then you listen to it and you think, yeah, that's naturally good. Thanks, John, for that. This is the Steve Gibbons album, 1980. It is Street Parade. This is the last album they recorded for Polydor. This is a Swedish edition. It's on the Swedish Polydor Gold Hawk label. It's fair to say it's not their best album. It's a good album. You know, I would never say anything bad about Steve Gibbons. He's a local hero. He's a legend in Birmingham. But I don't know what he was trying to go with this album, because there's a mixture of everything. Graffiti Man, he's trying to do calypso, whether he's trying to reflect the multicultural aspect of Birmingham. There's a Trevor Burton song on there, Abracadabra, Human Race, British Rock and Roll. A to Z, the opening track, it features songs for the alphabet, or things, not songs, listed through the alphabet A to Z. So I was pleased with that. Not a bad album. And the final album is Steve Miller's band's Fly Like an Eagle. I'd already got a copy of this, but this was in much better nick than mine. So it's an upgrade. So the copy I've got, I'll probably get that when all things die down. I'll probably either give to my niece or donate to Oxfam. I don't know. But it's a good album. It's probably obviously got Fly Like an Eagle, Take the Money and Run, Rockin' Me. Cover of Sam Cooke's You Send Me. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Steve Miller, especially the 70s period. So there you go. That's what I've been up to pre and lockdown, during lockdown. There are so many threads floating around out there. I'm wondering if I do too many videos, I might be spreading myself a bit thin, but keeps us off the streets, so to speak. So wherever you get up to VC, make sure you have a good day today, and stay positive. I think that's the important thing. Let's stay positive. It will get better. It ain't going to get better overnight. We've got to accept that. Just make what it is. And as I say, I think what's helped me is having some structure for the day. Structure your day. I think you can get through anything. So, if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, click on the subscribe button. I am having a bit of a little surge in subscribers, which I thank you all for doing that. Thumbs up, thumbs down, love the interaction, and feel free to leave a comment. I will get back to you. I'm up to date with my comments. I'm slowly ploughing my way through for part 2 of 81 to 90 on my 100 favourite albums, so I think that might be coming next week. I'm looking to do a video based on the Shock and Awe book that I've just finished reading about glam rock, and then obviously your update sort of responses to the threads that are floating around. So wherever you get up to, VC, make sure it's a good one. Keep spinning. Take care of yourselves. Keep spinning. More importantly, keep smiling. Cheers.